got scammers who scam to live a lifestyle, and you got people who scam to provide.
Everything's a hustle, bro. Our goal is just to simply show the world a window as to why people do the things they do. It's like they say, if the system fails you, you create your own system. You was making enough money scamming at 11 years old. This generation is all hustle.
I do what I gotta do to get by. The government don't get money.
No matter how long you stay down, if you believe you can get out, you can do it.
I see my younger self in their eyes, man. You inspire me, bro. We walk the same streets, and we here.
Black Market with Michael K. Williams.
What up, YouTube? It's Coffee on the vid. Tapping back in, man. And that was a brief excerpt clip from Michael K. Williams, a.k.a. Omar from The Wire's show, Black Market. Comment if you ever watched that show. You know, it was a look into the underworld or the streets, the black market, you know, whether it be drugs, bootleg merch, scams, robbing individuals, whatever the case may be. You know, there's a market for everything. And Michael K. Williams, that was like a passion project that he brought to the world. It was an interesting show. It was all real, like no gimmicks, no cap, no filler, no flunkery. He was really bringing you face to face with the streets. And it was a good show, man. The final season, which I believe was the third season, I could be wrong, they actually brought to life posthumously, however the fuck you say that. You know what I mean? Like Michael K. Williams was deceased while it was pretty much made, you know, but they had to hit the editing room and different things like that. And, you know, some friends of his lended their voice and their time to fill in the blanks, in a sense, you know, and bring that final season to the people, to the world, as, you know, Michael K. Williams really loved that show, you know, because he had a rough life, obviously, as you see, we're talking about it, you know, him dying even after the fame, drug overdose. I'm sure everyone's well aware of the story, as it's been about a couple years now. It was shocking, shocked me, you know, to find out that he battled with addiction all the way through. You know, if you really look into his story, some of the times that he was having the most success, he was still feeling empty and still battling those demons. And ultimately, you know, that Fenty wop that has killed so many got him. It was sad and fucked up too. You know, I believe it was his nephew that actually went and found him, as no one was able to get a hold of him, and saw his uncle deceased, as I believe he had been dead a couple days. But Michael K. Williams was very open and honest about his story and sharing it with people and just trying to reach, you know, everyone who been through some things or who was still battling it, to just show them they were not alone and show them that they could push on and find success and, you know, live a normal life, or however you want to reference it, but at the same time showing everyone the underworld with this Black Market show. You feel me? So the reason why bringing all this up is because if you follow the case after his death, you see the different pics of him copping that dope, you know, that ultimately killed him. You know, 4 individuals were arrested, and they've been going to court, and I think they have all pled out. Last I knew, I think there was one that still was going through the court process or whatever, but it was wild. You know, the feds arrested him pretty quick for the most part, and actually had, you know, video. You see the pics from the video of him in the hood copping, and they actually had them talking about it, like on the wiretap, you know, which is so crazy with his biggest role ever probably was The Wire. But the feds heard him talking about it, like, yo, our package put Omar down. It killed Omar, you know what I mean? But now one of these dudes is set to be sentenced at the end of the month. And David Simon, who created The Wire, and just a side note, Really cool dude. He's made a lot of other great shows. You can like hit him on Twitter. Like he's very humble and down to earth. I tweeted at him once something about, I don't think it was The Wire. I think it was The Deuce, as I think he made that show too. Well, actually, I had a question about The Wire and The Deuce, kind of something that I saw familiar from both projects, and asked him, and this dude tweeted back to me within a few hours. He's very humble and loves to talk about his art and everything with other regular individuals out there like myself. And also a side note too, Michael K. Williams, some other great shows, and get it going in the comments, and movies that he was in. I don't know if you guys ever saw Happen Leonard. That was a really good show. Another show called Body Brokers, or that was a movie that came out, I believe, after his death, which was about, it kind of ties into all this, about the rehab system and insurance companies and how individuals can kind of pimp the system and milk it for money, and how there's a hustle all in that in itself. And then there was one final joint that came out after his death where he was a negotiator for the police called Breaking, where there was this guy that was going through some things financially and was a veteran, and he just, everything was piling up for this guy, and he just broke and went into a bank and started tripping. I believe had some hostages and stuff like that. Really, really good movie. Comment if you've seen those movies, and shows your thoughts on them, or if not, go check them out, or also leave it in the comments some other dope projects that he was a part of. But getting back to what we're talking about here, this individual, David Simon, who created The Wire, wrote a letter, asking the judge to show mercy on this one guy. I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly, Carlos Massey or Mackie, Macci, who is the one that's set to be sentenced later on this month. And he's telling him, the judge, please go light on this guy. And I'm seeing that he addressed the court or whatever. I thought maybe he put out a tweet. No, he wrote the judge a 3-page letter asking for him to show mercy, but also a step further saying that this is what Michael K. Williams would have wanted. He would have wanted him to write this letter. So peep what he says right here. He says, no possible good can come from incarcerating the elderly Carlos Mackey, 71, after he pled guilty to the fentanyl-laced heroin connected to Michael K. Williams' overdose in 2021, citing that the co-defendant's own struggles with addiction. Williams always bore responsibility for his drug use. Simon said, adding that the late actor's opposition to mass incarceration and the drug war convinces me that he would want me to write this letter. So again, all that stuff we were talking about with the Black Market show and Michael K. Williams schooling regular individuals on the streets and addiction and stuff like that, and sharing his story with others that struggle themselves. He's saying this guy's 71 years old, been in the streets, did time before, been on drugs himself. Michael K. Williams wouldn't want you to slay this guy and throw him in prison for the rest of his life. Comment if you guys agree with that. To be honest, I feel like that's probably the truth, and David Simon and him had a good relationship. Peep it. He also said, what happened to Mike is a grievous tragedy. But I know that Michael would look upon the undone and desolate life of Mr. Massey and know two things with certainty. First, that it was Michael who bears the fuller responsibility for what happened. And second, no good can come from incarcerating a 71-year-old soul, largely illiterate, who has himself struggled with a lifetime of addiction and sold drugs not for profit, but rather as someone caught up in the diaspora of addiction himself. So you heard that. Obviously, what we already said about Michael K. Williams, and addiction and all that, but also he was big on responsibility. He always took accountability and responsibility for his actions and the fact that it was him getting high, so more or less he bore responsibility in his own death just as much as this guy that sold him the dope. I mean, if they already knew they had a pack that was killing people, you could say there's more responsibility on the dealer, but I mean, that's a whole nother debate and conversation to get all deep into. But more or less, you know, if you're out there doing drugs, and we talk about this on the channel all the time, nowadays in this current climate of the streets, where there's all these synthetic toxic drugs out there laying people down like a apocalypse, just killing people left and right. You know, we always throw that out there when it's brought up on this J Coffee Talk channel that, you know, it is not the old days anymore. If you are getting high, it is time to get clean or get in a maintenance program or something. You know, you cannot be a junkie lifelong anymore. It's too much poison out there. It's not if it's going to happen to you, it's when it's going to happen. You know, you are gambling with your life every day, and that's a fact, Jack. You can take that to the bank, you know. So jump in the comments, guys. Let me know what you think about this pretty wild story. You know, I think there's a little more. Oh, he said he called Williams one of the finest actors with whom I've had the honor to collaborate, and one of the most thoughtful and gracious and charitable souls I could ever call a friend. I never failed to see him take responsibility for himself and his decisions. And, you know, it just says that there's 3 other people who have pled guilty to the possession and distribution of narcotics, with Massey sentencing scheduled for later this month. So there you have a very interesting story. You know, a work colleague, collaborator of Michael K. Williams, but also a friend who had a lot of love for him, took the time to write this letter, you know, thinking that his friend, his loved one from up above, would have wanted this. What do you guys think about that? You know, your thoughts across the board. And also, do you think the judge will play any part in the sentencing? You know, 71 years old, man, in the streets all them years. That's a wild story, man. It's all bad, you know. The streets lead to tragedy 99% of the time. You know, there's those few stories where people are able to parlay their situation into something else and, you know, come up and get out of the streets, but it's majority of the time things end bad. So comment, let me know what you guys think about this. Again, RIP Michael K. Williams, and let's talk about his work as well, some of the favorite roles that he played in and all that. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Look forward to talking to you guys in the comments. It's Coffee signing out, y'all. Peace.